Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome to my first YouTube video ever. This is my first candid, talking right at the camera kind of video, speaking my mind, yada yada. I'm a bit allergic to lengthy intros, so I'm going to try and jump right into this idea. So, wow, what do I mean by your addiction doesn't really exist? It's quite a statement. I'll start with a bit of a short answer, and then I'll attempt to qualify it the best way that I can. In order to tackle a subject like this, I think we have to draw on some spiritual concepts and some more esoteric sort of knowledge, let's say. It's something that's certainly helped me, so I'm hoping to share this and see if it resonates with anyone. But basically, the way I would put it is that, a lot of spiritual teachings will say that problems don't actually exist. So the idea is that the problem has happened in the past. Whatever it was, your pain, your sorrow, your wins, your losses, they happened in the past. And in the moment right now, it doesn't actually exist. So that isn't to say that you don't have massive heartache and a lot of things to deal with, but in the present moment, ostensibly, there is no problem. So going off that premise, we could say that if the problem doesn't exist, then your coping mechanism also is a bit untenable. So you could say that if there is no problem, there is no addiction. Since the addiction was a solution or a coping mechanism to the problem. The moment that this really started to set in for me is I read Gabor Mate's famous line. I hope I don't butcher it, but it's something like, the addiction wasn't the problem. The addiction was an attempt to solve a problem. So if that's true, then the problem and the addiction are one and the same. And in other words, your addiction is something that you created in order to cope with some sort of unfaced pain that probably happened in the past, right? In effect, everything happened in the past, and in the moment, there's no problem. I'm attempting today to take it one step further, which is to say that if you have an addiction, which you probably do, even if it's not a substance, you're probably addicted to some form of attachment, then essentially what you're doing is you're coping with something that isn't happening now, and you're bringing it back into the present moment with your coping mechanism. And so you deepen it and you relive it time and time again. So again, when I heard Gabor Mate's line that the addiction was the solution to the problem, a light really went off in my head. And it sort of stemmed from there. And then I took it a little bit further by saying that if the problem doesn't exist, then the addiction can't exist either. Or it can't be as real as we think it is. That might sound offensive to a lot of you. I know we tend to identify with our pain and our struggle, and calling yourself an addict and living in that in that space, in my view, is a fiction. Take it from me, because I've been there. I've been down dark roads, brother. I've done a lot of weird shit. I've almost ended myself twice, not on purpose, but with unintentional overdoses, and just too much of this and too much of that. And I've been there, man. I've seen some ugly shit. I've felt ugly things. So I know, and I've done weird things at family parties, and I've ruined a lot of relationships. So I'm not coming from a clinical standpoint or a teacher standpoint. I'm trying to share something that is the only thing that really actually helped me. In fact, there was a moment that I was having on my own. I was doing the dishes one day, and I was looping in my head about my problems, my so-called addictions. My girlfriend had just broken up with me, and I thought I was a piece of garbage, basically. And I was looping in my head about my garbageness. And then I suddenly, it sounds a bit weird, but I suddenly heard a voice in my head, or it was very audible, like it was as if someone else had said it. And that voice said, "There's nothing wrong with you." That voice had the quality of my dad's voice. My dad and my mom are dead. But it came out of nowhere, and it stopped the barrage of self-deprecating that I was doing to myself. And for the next 2 days, I was sort of in a state of constant bliss. It was really like, that was like my Eckhart Tolle moment. I was free of my problems, and this idea that there was nothing wrong with me to begin with was the cornerstone of the rest of my journey to getting the monkey off my back and just being the real me and healing, basically. It was so compelling that I even wrote a book. Here, I have a book. It's not released yet, but this is it. The Addiction Fiction, Unraveling the Roots of Attachment. So I wrote an entire manuscript based on this contrary idea that, you're not an addict, essentially. So I would say that addictions aren't really what we think they are. You may say something like, well, yeah, but my entire family was ruined by alcoholism. And I know it may seem like that, but I would say that perhaps the damage was already there, and then the addiction and the fallout from the inner damage was what seemed like the devil, right? The addiction, the alcoholism, the drug use, and the subsequent downfall of all of that. So I would say that the fracture in your soul existed before all of that. Leonard Cohen has an amazing line in one of his tunes. I think the tune is called Torn. He goes, "It's torn on the right, it's torn on the left, it's torn at the center, which few can accept." That line always gets to me. So I would say the real issue is addressing your past pain, your trauma, first, instead of getting all tied up in trying to cure the symptom, which is what AA has attempted to do for the past 100 years, with some success, but there are too many pitfalls in that program, in my view. And the real issue is to heal your unmasked wounds. So again, I would say that if you were to release the image of the addict in you, then you would probably have a better time at getting out from under it. Paradoxically, to let go of the label is the very thing that might help you release the bad habit. And if a problem doesn't exist in the present moment, then your addiction doesn't have a foundation to live off of. I always say that if it can be healed, it can't be real. I didn't invent that. I sort of stole that from A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles has an opening line that says, how does it go? Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. That's a pretty insane statement. It's hard to accept. It doesn't make sense, really. You can say like, oh, well, my body's real. Like my body exists and it can be destroyed, right? So that's real. That's a real shitty thing. Of course that's real. However, the Course would say that it's not altogether true, and that They call it the mind-body illusion. There's a whole segment called the mind-body illusion, which basically says that your ego and your body are, since they're transitory, they don't have any real permanence. It doesn't hold the kind of reality that your ego wants to ascribe to it. So there it is. That's my sort of thesis statement. I hope you enjoyed it. I got a lot of other contrary ideas in my book. It should be ready by the end of February 2025. So if you're watching this after March 1st, 2025, there will be a link in the description, hopefully where you can find my book. In it contains a solution to addiction. I'm not just philosophizing and throwing out a bunch of fancy words. I'm trying to really solve a problem. In part 2 of the book, there's a program called the 21-Day Sobriety Bender. Sobriety Bender, brother. That's what you have to go on in order to clear your head and then really make some progress. So I'm going to stop there. That's my video, yo. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments about this backwards idea that addictions don't exist. And let's see. If this helps anyone, then I'll make more videos. How's that? All right. Peace.